Okay, so let's check in with the debt market at FMDQ Exchange Place. Of course, the key focus was the announcement today of the notice of the 150 billion naira bond auction, the first in the new year, by the debt office of reopening of 3 papers. Let's get Samuel Musa, who is a fixed income dealer at FSDH Merchant Bank, to talk to us. So, Samuel, it's good to see you. Thanks for coming through.
Same here, boss.
Oh, great. It's good to see you in the new year.
Yes.
Yeah, great. So everybody's back in business. But let's check with you as far as the market is concerned. What's the big story right now? I'm sure the Naira bond by the debt office is sometime Wednesday next week, or I think so. But what are we trading, and how's the yield curve right now before that comes through those reopenings?
Okay, so the issuance calendar from the DMO with respect to the bond auction for the first quarter of 2019 has been much anticipated, and yesterday we finally saw that come through, as well as the offer circular for the month of January. So the DMO will be offering a total of 150 billion across 3 maturities, 50 billion on each, at the bond auction scheduled for next week, Wednesday. However, before the announcement of this, about 2 weeks ago, we saw a bit of buying sentiment in the bonds market, and to a large extent that might not be unconnected with the uncertainty with respect to the release of this Q1 issuance calendar. And then also we saw a bit of inflows coming from foreign portfolio investors as well, as reflected by the volumes at the I&E window. So we saw yields dropping to a low of about 15%, and even on the very long end of the curve, that's about the 20-year bond, we saw yields break the 15% resistance level and trade as low as 14.85. However, in the past week, we've seen minimal activity in the markets with a bit of investor interest on the mid to long end of the yield curve. So that's bonds maturing between 2026 and 2037.
Samuel, if you look at the rates on these 3 papers being reopened next week, 12.75, 13.53, 13.98 for these 2025-2028 papers, is it consistent with the current yield curve at the secondary market?
No, it isn't consistent. So you just gave me the coupons on those papers. And at the time those papers were issued for the very first time, that's where the yields were in the secondary market. So yields are a lot higher than those levels now. So we should expect them most likely around secondary market levels.
Which is, what rate is that?
Which is around 15% and above.
Okay, so these were just indicative of this. But again, if you look at the tenor here, do you think that would be what would be the deciding factor for investors on how to pitch in on those on these 3 papers, bond papers? Is it the tenor, or is it the yield?
To a large extent, most investors are concerned about the yield as well as the duration for which they want to be out for their investments. So yes, those 2 factors will play a very critical role in determining the interest and subscription levels that we will have on these 3 bonds.
Okay, so how are we doing as far as papers that are either marked to market or marked to date of maturity? What's the yield curve looking like around those, if you look at both bond and treasuries?
Okay, so looking at the treasury bills markets, we've seen more activity on the short end. So papers maturing between January and May, and that's where the interest has been. Buying interest to a large extent. Yesterday we saw discount rates drop by an average of 10 to 15 basis points, but that hasn't pretty much been the same story in the bonds market. Like I said, in the bonds market, there's just been a particular interest for bonds around the mid tenor of the yield curve. So you can see a slight depression there, especially caused by the 2027 bond, while the 2028 bond is offering somewhere around 15.3%, which I wouldn't be surprised will be on the back of the supply that will be coming in at the bond auction next week, Wednesday.
Okay, so let's wrap up with today's with this maturing treasuries, hundreds of billions of naira. What's the outlook from the financial regulator in terms of treasury issuance today and tomorrow?
There's a maturity of 382 billion coming in from OMO bills, and this to a large extent should be mopped up by the CBN, as we've seen in the recent past. So we have consecutive OMO auctions to mop up excess liquidity in the system. Also, we've seen coupon payments from other FGM bonds as well, and the CBN has been swift to conduct the OMO auctions to mop up this liquidity in the system. So this should not be far-fetched.
It will be far-fetched. Thank you. Samuel Musa, all the best from FSDH Merchant Bank.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a great day. Live to us from FMDQ Exchange Place in downtown Lagos. Of course, all the markets all downtown. We're a little bit uptown here at the global headquarters of China. So we'll go downtown to our market streets. Temple Ashaju is closing the show for us, looking at the Thursday trading day. Temple, just a few items I noted here. A bit of a 9-month earnings from Afromedia PLC and Triple G. These are companies around the bottom of the barrel of the market, so I'm not sure they're grabbing anybody's headline or attention as we speak. So what else is big in the news? Not that those companies don't matter. Excuse me, folks. I just have to put that one. Not that those companies don't matter. But again, Afromedia, I just checked their turnover for the 9 months reported for 2019 is just about 90-something million naira. That's a chicken change in the back pocket of some of the big boys, in particular at the banks. But they are part of the market. So let's talk to us.
Well, yes, like you said, not a lot of traders are watching the numbers from these two key companies. What they just do with them a lot of time is to see how they're complying with the obligations, their post-listings obligation here in the market. Triple G, it's good to know that they're making this available. If at all you have old investors who have invested in Triple G and Afromedia, which are two key companies that also had their initial
I remember those companies. Temple.
2008 and thereafter.
Yes, Temple. Just a quick one, because if you look at Afromedia and Triple G, those two companies 30 years ago were all located around Satellite Town, Kokomaiko, on the way to Badagry. That's exactly where they were. Afromedia used to be a big company in the days when we don't have all the technology for digital printing and everything today, including Triple G. They were printing checkbooks. I think they were printing some, what they called documents for the banks and all that in those days. Then these days, now we have our mobile phones. Okay, I think I have mine somewhere over there. So we all just use text messages and all of that these days. So we're reducing the volume of paperwork that we all have. So it looks like it's not really good. And again, you talk about outdoor advertising and all of that with the social media, with what do you call it? Instagram. Okay, yeah, I got it. Yes.
You're not that old, Bosin.
No, I'm that old.
You should be on Instagram. You're very heavy.
I'm not on Instagram, but I know. I was trying to recollect what it really is called Instagram. Yes, pictures and videos and what have you. Even banks these days make their own advert. Put it on Twitter. They don't need Triple G or Afromedia anymore.
A lot of these companies may not be leveraging these. They may not be leveraging this, but you know, for Afromedia, it's still heavy. It's still good in terms of their outdoor advertising. If you're ascending the Third Mainland Bridge from VI, Ikoyi axis of Lagos, you'll see the very first billboard on the right-hand side. That belongs to Afromedia, and it's still very active. So it tells you that the investments of a lot of the investors, traders that have money in these companies is still very, very intact, and of course they're doing stuff so that. You talked about Triple G as well, being in the axis of Yanoba or Joy area of Lagos. I remember it's directly...
Temple, you're not too young.
Specifically at that point. I don't know if they're still...
You're not too young.
It's exactly
not too old and not too young. Okay. So let's form a coalition here. Okay, what else is making headlines? We got 1 minute to wrap up the show, Temple. We have less than 1 minute.
Some dividends, actually.
Okay, everyone, have a good laugh. I hope you enjoy the show. Temple, thank you so much. Have a good day, everyone. Let's come back tomorrow, Friday. Lay back, enjoy business morning. Then we'll have a beautiful weekend. The last one in the month of January, shall we? See you then.